I'm Joseph.
I'm Genesis.
I'm Kayla.
And I'm Elsa.
Okay, so today we're back with another episode of EPC, and we're gonna be getting our own points of views on immigration.
We're going to start off with me, Jose Reginald, first.
So, how do you feel about immigration so far in the U.S.?
Well, I think that this whole country is made up of immigrants. Like, it first started off with immigrants. So I don't think they should be, I don't think they should have to go through all of this work to even be able to come in here from the get-go. Do y'all know when Trump began the ICE raids?
Wasn't it sometime in July of this year?
I think it was like the beginning of July.
Sometime around that time. But did you also know that during that whole time they arrested like maybe 2,000 illegal, air quote,
Really?
illegal immigrants from the United States?
Why'd you say air quote? Because maybe they were illegal.
Okay, some of them, yes, they might have been illegal, but in one case there was this guy who was illegal immigrant or American, and he had his paperwork, but he stayed in there for about, I'm not sure how much time he stayed in there, but he stayed in ICE's custody for a while, and they didn't let him go, and he was trying to give and show them his proper paperwork, but they refused to see it.
I don't think that's fair though, because if you look at it this way, they're not treated equally as another person would, because like you said, he had his documentation, but of course it was gonna have to be taken a lot of time. And right now, they don't have a like actual court system being handled perfectly by immigration on how they get to like actually be in front of a judge. Like they said that sometimes they actually have their trials in a tent. What is that? That's not fair.
Well, at the same time, you gotta understand there's like so many cases, so many illegal immigrants that have come into the country that it's gonna be hard to take their time on each single one. So that's why it's fast paced and they don't really go through it.
I think what you're talking about with the tents, it's the new policy that the Trump administration enacted, and basically if illegal immigrants show up at the Mexican-American border, instead of having their trial in America, like how it used to be, they now have to go to Mexico, and they're keeping them in tents to kind of.
But I don't feel that's
track
not
them.
fair, because they should be treated like human beings and be given the same opportunities to fight, to become citizens, or to even stay at a place where someone is actually supposed to stay at.
Yeah, but at the same time, if it's, let's say they build a building, you're expecting them to waste a whole bunch of money assigning like, AC and stuff like that. And with that, you're going to push a whole bunch of court dates behind, and you're going to start rushing one after the other, one after the other. So it's not going to be fair if you take away the tents, because the tents is just fast paced.
Well, not only tents, but also cages. There's people that are staying there. Sometimes the lights don't even go off when they have to go to sleep. They don't get fed. They don't shower.
Well, that's something I do not believe in, because, there's reporters that go to the border to see what's happening. And the reason we see these cages and stuff is because reporters are there documenting and reporting to everybody on newspapers, online, paper,
So you're
whatever.
saying they're not in cages, sir?
I'm saying that obviously they're in cages, but what you're saying is that they don't be fed and they don't shower. Obviously, they're going to be on a routine where they shower and be fed. And if they're not, it's easily where they can say, hey, we're not being fed or showered. So it's very hard to state that there aren't, because there's our reporters there reporting on what's going on, no matter if they're allowed to or not.
But also, it's kind of a thing of your immigrants seem to be viewed as less than people if they come in illegally, because you've had several instances where if an illegal immigrant, or if
So what are they viewed as then?
They're viewed as normal people. It's just
Then
there's just specific kind of people, like people who don't like them, or Republicans, they're gonna say mean stuff, but there's other people like Democrats or whoever, Democrat, Republic, they're gonna be respected, but there's other people who don't respect people. So that's something in America you just have to deal with because it's bullies, and same thing with predator and prey. There's gonna be mean people, there's gonna be nice people. So there's no such thing as they're not treating as people. It's just how society works now and then.
Okay, but also have you seen how President Trump says that these immigrants are rapists and they are not, like, how do you say it correctly? To not make
Just
me
putting a
sound-
label on people? Is that what you're trying to say?
Basically, he's putting a label on them. Like my mom tells me, this is a saying. It's called "por uno pagan todos." So basically, he's judging one immigrant that did something bad off on others, saying that they're all the exact same people, when he probably doesn't even know half of the reason why people or immigrants just want to come here to the United States.
But also to go off that they're seen as less than people, you said that they're viewed as regular people, but they're given the same opportunities or something, or some. What did you say? That
Well-
it was just Republicans, like they don't like people, but if they were viewed as equally to us Americans, then why don't they have beds? Why are they sleeping on the cold floor in the cages? Why are they in cages? And why do they barely get to eat food and shower and replenish themselves?
Well, what's it called? That's the thing though. They could have been. Those are kids. There's what I'm not sure about is this, there's no adults there. That's what I'm not sure about. But I know there's kids there who are actually being taken care of who could have just been sent back, not getting a chance to come to America because kids are sent there by their parents from Mexico or Honduras, whatever, to get a better life. And when they're there, yeah, it might take a few days, weeks, but they're given an opportunity and they're given the chance by being to stay there. And with the food and stuff, they're giving chances. Like they get phone calls to lawyers, stuff like that, for lawyers can build up.
Okay, but
They've given chances for lawyers, but these kids have to go into court to represent themselves and aren't given a lawyer. So what lawyer exactly are they able to call?
and not only that, but they meet the lawyer not even like 2 to 3 minutes before their trial begins. So how do you get to know your client for 3 minutes and understand their whole story, or how they came here, or why they're here, or if they're even illegal or not?
And also, kind of to go with that, it's kind of like also some of these lawyers and the kids have a language barrier, and some of them are younger than say 10, so they don't really grasp the topic of what you're trying to say. They're still barely learning how to like regular math, regular multiplication, regular all that types of stuff. So how would they be able to grasp something and try to provide a case for themselves politically in court to try to say I deserve to be in America?
Okay, but to touch on that, there's no language barrier because they're given a translator. If I only know Spanish, they're giving me a translator for the judge to understand. Like, alright, I'm gonna be speaking Spanish, and they're gonna translate what I'm saying. And if it doesn't go word for word, they're given to like, hey, this might go word, but I understand what he's saying, so I'm gonna say it's the judge. So they're giving a translator, and on top of that, what you said about you said something, I forgot. You said something about.
But then look at it this way also. There's kids that are 2, 6, 7, 8, even 6 years old that are defending their own trials, and they've been separated from their parents. They don't know nothing that's going on. They don't even know why they even have to go to trial in the first place. How do you make that child feel like that?
If you had the power to change anything about what you guys was just talking about, what would you change and what would you do?
I feel like I would still have some immigration policies, but it wouldn't be the way it's being handled today. Like, I wouldn't want kids to be separated from their families.
So what would you do?
But if they were to be sent back, I would want the child to be sent back with their parents, not to be separated. Because I don't feel like that's a life a child should be living, a life separated from their families, going to live with a completely strangers they've never met in their whole life.
What would you change about the stuff you just said? Like, what
would you enact to
what would
make
you
that
do
a
differently?
thing?
Make the policies a little bit better,
Not
not as hard as it is, like making the test a bit easier, not making them pay as much money because not everyone has the same amount of money other people are able to pay to come here.
And then with the testing, if it was me, I don't think I would give a test. Because if the test is hard, some people still not gonna get it. The test is easy, some people not gonna get it. So I don't think I would give a test. What would you do? What would you change?
Me? So with immigration, so like one of the main things that people, they have to do for immigration is get a lawyer, because you obviously, when you come here, you don't understand the process. Like, you're just confused, like, what do I do to become a citizen, to be legal, right? And so I feel like with that, I feel like a lawyer for sure is necessary, going through like a legal process, because it is a legal process. So I feel like people should, or like, I guess like the government should like make immigration, I guess, more controlled. And I guess like the way they could do that is by having like this kind of like what they do in, I'm not sure where, but it's like somewhere in like the other side of the world. And they have this thing where like people sign up for asylum. I think they do that here too. And then you get chosen, like the government chooses people that they believe would be good people to come over to America. And I feel like that could be something that might help,
What would you change?
What I would change is how everything's handled, basically. Yeah, there's a lot of kids being separated from family, and that's something I would fix, because nobody wants to be separated from family. That's something you don't want to go through, something you don't want to think about, because when you're little, you just want to be with your family, and that's how it's always been. So what I'll do is I'll have, basically, from the start, instead of separating kids from family, I'll have them all go to court together, have the parents explain, and then for that, if they're not going to be compliant and understanding, like, hey, I'm going to give you the rules, you can't do this or that, and this is going to be a fair trial for you. If they can't follow them, they're just not going to be given the fair trial. Because we're going to explain the rules to them, and they're going to understand, and they'll be like, okay, we understand, we won't cause a problem, we won't.
So they're expected to meet requirements.
Not like that, but like basically just don't go out of hand in court.
So you would give them rules that's totally different from us American rules have?
No, look, what I'm trying to say is, before you go to court, I'm gonna have someone to go to you and say, hey, you can't do this in court, or your trial's gonna be like, out of there.
So how to act during your court day?
Yeah, because if you're not gonna be compliant, like if I ask you a question and I say something back, don't try and, I understand it's gonna be hurtful, but just don't try and take it in and be like, oh, this is gonna be the reason, so I'm gonna flip this, throw this everywhere. If you're not gonna be compliant like that, then your trial's not gonna be there anymore.
What would you change?
Okay, Caleb, what would you do?
Okay, so for me personally, the whole cage thing, I think it should be more like some type of rehabilitation center. So it's not like they're in cages. Like, they have beds, they have food, there's a little cafeteria or whatever that gives them food. Not like so fancy or whatever, because they did come here illegally. Yes, that is very illegal, and something is wrong with that. So it's not going to be very like rainbows and sunshine and everything. It's still going to be like very serious and like monotone, and not like, and very neutral. So I'd want to change that, instead of having them into cages, and have them have some type of sleeping place, some kind of arrangement, some kind of something, so it's not just them on the floor with little tin blankets. And for the whole becoming a citizen thing, I think it's more of, it's not that we have to have an easier test, it's just like, well, kind of, there needs to be a better way for them to get resources. Even if they don't have the money, even if there is, like, they don't have the needs to get what they need to do to be a citizen. So if you don't have money, then I'm pretty sure there could be like some kind of contribution or some kind of donations that people would want to give, so that way they could help be a citizen, or like a lawyer, or like they could have like free lawyers. People do that all the time, so there could be like some type of free lawyers that get paid to help them, like for an amount of time, to try to help them understand the ways that the as we Americans go through in our day-to-day life, so that way they know like all the types of rules and everything.
So you both said that y'all would want to put them in better facilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do y'all understand that the money that's going to be paid for the facilities is going to be paid by taxpayers?
I was
So
just-
you're
I
gonna
was just
pay.
thinking, like, how would you keep that?
You're
like,
gonna
alive? Like,
keep
how would you get that
Americans
going?
are gonna pay to keep the immigrants like in a good condition.
So, like, with them being in that sentence, would you allow them more?
So you
Because they
so
gotta
you're
make money.
basically like giving them the benefit of staying here for their process. Or would you be okay with that?
But okay, so the whole facility thing, I see where you're coming from, but it's also the fact that why, if you wouldn't do that to somebody in, like, say, because even then in prison you still have a bed, you still get fed, you still get clothes, you get washed and everything. Even if they did do something illegal, that is something. These people are the same way. They're just trying to come into America, get their stuff, get their lifestyle, try to better themselves, try to get better education for their children, have a better generation. So why would you treat them as less and have them be on the floor with tinfoil blankets when even prisoners can get treated better than that? They have beds, they have clothes, they have running water, they have a certain schedule to go and shower and to when to eat, but they still are given food and different amenities.
EPC, thank you for listening.